metal maniacs, thrashers, punks, death metal delinquents, grindcore freaks, old school rockers, new school hardcore kids, and everyone else in between. This is the Solid Steel Syndicate podcast, baby.
Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Solid Steel Syndicate podcast. I'm your host, Irish J. Irons. And today we're going to teach poodles how to fly. No, I'm just kidding. But if you could tell me what line that is from, what movie that line is from, I would be very impressed by you. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. No, today we're going to talk about an album called Kaios AD by one of my favorite bands, Sepultura. The original iteration of that band, the original lineup with Max and Igor and Andres, and that lineup was just killer. They came in with a real thrashy style, real fast, real aggressive, more aggressive than some of the other bands even that were out at that time, heavier, darker, scarier sounding. And I was watching these albums come out up until when Kaios AD came out in '93. My favorite album from Sepultura and one of my favorite albums of all time was Arise. That one came out in 1991, and that album was just crushing. Some of the best breakdowns in heavy metal or thrash, hardcore, whatever you want to say. Just some of the best breakdowns, some of the best riffs, just some of the best drumming, just blazing, just blasting through everything. And then they hit the right notes as far as with the breakdowns and the groove and the feel. And so they showed some signs of that with some of their earlier albums. And as they progressed, they started showing it a little more up until the point where we come to 1993, where Kaios AD was released. Just a crushing album, as I said. I've gotten to interview Max Cavalera a couple times. I've spoken to him over the years, on the air, off the air a little bit. Max and I had some things in common. He lost his father when he was 9. I was 10 when my dad died. So it was something we talked about and the difficulties that it presents. And I was actually very lucky because I had a real strong support system in my grandparents and my aunt. So I had a real strong support system, and I realized that not everybody has that. So it was a really hard thing and something that caused a lot of anger in my life. And when I was talking to Max about it, he said that he had the same thing. You'll see some of the anger come through in his music and his lyrics, and this type of music can be a great way to express that and to get it out and to bond with other people and meet with other people that have similar life experiences, similar taste in things, and people that can understand you. So that's a great outlet. One of the things that this music is great for, aside from cultivating talent, because in order to get to a certain level in this field or this type of music, you have to be pretty darn good at your instruments, or singing or vocals or something. You have to be good. The people who are not so good are weeded out pretty early on. And so it's something where this style of music has a lot of positivity to it and a lot of positive things surrounded by it. The lyrics aren't always the most positive thing. And that's something that people seem to pick up on sometimes. But again, it's a lot of times it's just a release, and it's where people go to get that negative energy out. And most of the people that are singing some of the worst lyrics you'll ever hear are some of the nicest people, some of the coolest, most kind people on the face of the earth. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So just getting back to Kaios AD, again, that album came out in 1993. When I heard it, again, I was blown away by it. The beginning of the album starts out with what I've been told is a heartbeat of Max's son. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm pretty sure that is true. But so you hear that and you're not sure what's coming. And then the tribal drums, Igor with the bass and the guitar come in, and just such a great, and you just instantly can tell that, okay, this is something different than everything else that's out there. And this is even a little more different from some of the things they've done in the past. And that first riff, it's groovy instantly. It's heavy. It's kind of mid-paced, but you can't help but feel it. You can't help but move to it. And the song is about civil unrest, and again, something that a lot of people can identify with. And that song just kind of grabs you by the face and doesn't let up. And it's just something that you feel it and you sing along to it. And it's a great song. The guitar tone is so heavy, and Max's voice, just his voice, he just always kind of reminded me of like a Rottweiler or something. Just he has that just extra. His voice is really low, and it has like a little something extra to it, like I can't do it, but like a growl to it that kind of sets it apart from some of the other singers. And even some of the other singers that have that same sort of vocal style, his voice still has a little bit of a different quality to it. And then he has the accent, which I think makes it even a little cooler. Again, just because it's something different, and you can tell when you're listening to a singer, you can tell that they're speaking from experience, and you can tell that they're talking about what they know. And that's when the lyrics are the most interesting, when the singer's talking about something that they know. And to hear that accent, and then you start finding out more about this band, if you didn't already know, okay, they're from Brazil, so I know their lives have been completely different, and I'm interested. I want to hear what he's talking about, and the fact that English is not his first language, but he's singing in English, is just, it's cool. It takes a lot of talent to do what Max has done and his bands have done over the years. And, you got to give him credit. Again, singing really good, meaningful, important lyrics in another language is very impressive when the language isn't your first language. So that first song, that first song, Refuse Resist, is just one of my favorite songs of all time. It's a killer song. There's some good imagery in that song. The lyrics are great. Like I said, Max writes amazing lyrics. And English isn't even his first language. So you got to give him props, and you got to give it up for Max Cavalera, and just for the entire band for changing. And I've said this in other podcasts, it's exciting to see, because I go back to when these bands were coming out, these albums were coming out, and just watching things kind of progress. And you have sort of a box where things fit into, and where everybody wants to be in line because they want to show that, okay, yeah, we're part of this genre, or this is the style of music that we're playing. But then, gradually people start opening it up a little bit, and there's some other things that leak in and seep through the cracks, and people introduce different styles, different rhythms, even different instruments in some cases. And Igor definitely uses some different drums that are traditional for him, from where he's from. And there's even some stringed instruments that I don't know what they're called, but that are a little different. And they really go into that in some of their later albums. Again, Sepultura was a groundbreaking band. This album, all their albums were amazing up to this point, and then this album definitely kind of changed the scene. You could see that. And then their next album, Roots, was another amazing album. And again, they went even more into their traditional instruments and grooves and rhythms, and they dropped like their guitars dropped and were even heavier. And so just a groundbreaking band in every way. So the next song on Kaios AD after Refuse Resist is Territory. Again, that one starts out with that opening drum beat, and you feel like you're in the jungles of Brazil. The video for this song really just accompanies the music very, very well, with it coming up out of the jungle, out of the swamp, out of the water, and all muddy. And just, these are people that live in an area that it's not easy to live in. There's places where people live that they're around jungles, and there's sayings and like different countries and continents where they're like, if you live here, especially if you live near a jungle, everything in the jungle wants to kill you. So, that the people that you're listening to in these bands, they've been through some stuff. And again, it just gives it another quality, another aspect to them and to their music, which makes it even more interesting to find out. Not that one person's story is any more interesting than anyone else's, but it's kind of cool sometimes when there's different things and you start doing some research and finding out things about people and people from other countries and then people coming. It's amazing, especially back then before the internet was around. It's amazing to go into another country and be as big of a band as Sepultura was and still is. But I'm talking about the Max Cavalera iteration, when you to go to another country and make as much noise and be as respected and loved and have people just go off to your music is a true testimony to that band and their heart. That's another thing about this band. You can feel the heart in the music. You can feel the soul in the music. It has almost a spiritual quality, some of their songs. And Max does bring a certain level, and so do the other guys in the band, bring a certain level of spirituality to their music. And just incredible. And the drums and in Territory, all the way through the drum beats, the way Igor mixes it up, and just the rhythms and the time changes, and just you can't help but move to that song. And you're going to hear me be probably pretty redundant about this album, not because the songs are redundant, but because the songs all do the things that I love for songs to do, such as the time change, such as being heavy, interesting and varied, diverse drumming and time changes and time signatures. These songs all do that. There's no songs that are like super like blast beat fast or anything like that, but the time changes within the time signatures that they're using are just incredible. And again, you just feel it. It just adds to the feel for the song, and it adds to the feel for the entire album as a whole, which is killer. This album is an amazing album. So the next song off of Kaios AD is Slave New World. This song is about freedom and about not being controlled by anyone. And that's something that I would say, if Max had a message to get out to anyone, and I'm not speaking for him, but I would say probably his biggest thing is just be yourself, be your own person, and don't let anyone control you. And that's what this song is all about. The slide breakdowns towards the end, and that little where Igor kind of drops the drums in, it's just amazing. And again, different, there wasn't that style of breakdown, that so funky and just so different from anything else that was going on at that time. Just a great song. And also has, like I said, has some original rhythms to it. So great song. The next song after that would be Amen or Amen. And this song is, I think, about God. I think no matter how you look at or what you call God, I feel like it's Max pointing out some of the atrocities and the horrors that take place here on Earth, and just asking why things go the way they do, and who's in control, and who is God. And he definitely, like I said, he touches on spirituality, and that's not a bad thing. He's just he's a spiritual person. He's a soulful person. The next band that he started after Sepultura was called Soulfly. So I think there's definitely a reason for that. It wasn't just like, oh, that's a cool name. I think that really means something to Max. And I would say those are the two things that I've gotten from him is the soul and fly, meaning being free, letting your soul be free, being free as a person, and being who you want to be. And I think that's what Max, that's what he stands for. And just in talking to him, that's the kind of guy he is. He's not, even though he's one of the icons and one of the forefathers of thrash metal and groove metal, he doesn't come off any different than any other person that you talk to. He's a guy that you'd want to hang out with and just chill with and talk stories, tell stories, and just talk to all night, because I guarantee you, and I got to get some insight into some of his stories, and he's got some crazy stories. So yeah. The next song after Amen is, I don't know how to pronounce this, and I apologize, Kaiolas. This is kind of maybe like a little bit of a jam song, and they're introducing some of the rhythms from Brazil, and they have some of the drums. I'm not sure if they're timbales or congas. They have that running through it, and you can just picture them sitting around the fire, just chilling and just jamming, just feeling the music, feeling the flow, and just going with it, and just and this is what comes out. It's a good song. It's a little bit different from any of the other songs on the album, and again, it gives you some insight into where they're from and what they're feeling. It just is, the music is just flowing from them, the energy is just flowing from them, and it's a great song. If I had to call it anything, I'd call it a jam song. I don't know if that was the case or if they sat down and wrote it and then played it, but to me, it just feels like it was something they were jamming on. And what happens a lot of times in music is the song kind of writes itself, it kind of creates itself, and you're just a vehicle for that music. And so you just keep playing, you just keep jamming, and see where it goes. I do think there's a couple different drum tracks in there, so maybe it wasn't a jam song. I don't know, but maybe they did a couple tracks of drums after they jammed on it and just added some things later. So another great song on the album. The next song after that, probably one of my favorite songs of all time, is Propaganda. That beginning just sounds like an alarm, or like a horror kind of sound. And then into that riff where just everybody goes nuts and starts running around and circle pit, and just goes crazy. And this song is about not being fooled by the government or the media, not believing other people's propaganda. A lot of times there's a lot of metaphors in this style of music, and I think that while the main lyrics would probably lead you and me to believe that the song is about the media and about governments and that kind of thing, it can also be about each other, about not believing anyone else's hype, not believing anyone else's propaganda, and about researching things and looking up things and finding the truth for yourself, and not believing what other people tell you. Don't believe what you see. Don't believe what you read, because people lie. And just because you see something on the news or just because you read something in a book, that doesn't mean it's true. And that's the entire point to this song. And as heavy as the message is, the song is twice as heavy itself. It's fast, it's heavy, it's got good breakdowns. There's some good double pedal parts in it. Igor flexes that. And just a killer song. And really one of the highlights of this album for me is the song Propaganda, a great song, and just a killer song. So the next song after Propaganda is Biotech is Godzilla. This is another, and that's another thing about Max, is he feel like he's kind of looking out for the people. He's a man of the people. And so that's why he writes the songs that he writes, because he is looking out for the people, because he is one of us. And so Biotech is Godzilla. And I think especially in certain countries, and maybe more so in Brazil, it seems like there's a lot of like big corporations that do crazy testing on animals, and they're just polluting the water and polluting the air, and just kind of unchecked. And I think that's one of the things that Max is talking about with this. Godzilla, of course, is a big scary monster, and Biotech is a company that does experiments and pollutes. So this is a thing that can grow out of control, just like Godzilla. And so that's the metaphor there. That's how I take it, is the metaphor for what's happening with these corporations, and they're going unchecked and they can't be stopped. The metaphor would be akin to something like a Godzilla that's just a monster that's just smashing these cities and trashing these cities, and there's not really much you can do to it to stop it. But so that's why he's getting that message out there that, hey, these things are happening, and we better do something about it before it gets too late. And so that's the message that I get from Biotech is Godzilla. Also the chorus, the biotech, like, oh man, that's so great to sing along to. That's so great to go off to. And the drum beat and the riff at that point, just all together, just it that feels like a monster. And I like when the music is accompanied by the lyrics and they complement each other. And I would say that definitely takes place in this song. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. Biotech is Godzilla. The next song is Nomad. This song is another one where the music accompanies the lyrics and complements the lyrics, and it kind of, I get visuals in my brain when I'm listening to music, and so the music can create a different visual than the lyrics can sometimes. But these next couple songs, the music and the lyrics would create the same picture in my head, no matter which one I was listening to. And that's a pretty cool thing to pull off. And where he says, traveling through the time, moving slowly in the sand. I just picture a group of people, or like maybe even creatures with like hoods pulled up and you can't see what they are, and moving slowly through the sand, and then you got the music going right along with the lyrics, and his cadence of the way he delivers those verses, just perfect. And again, you can really picture it. You can get some good visuals from this song. And the beginning, there's like a weird like just reminds me of a strange sound that you might hear from a different group of beings, either from like another planet or from someplace far away that you've never experienced, and they have different instruments that create different sounds than you've ever heard. So that's my take on Nomad, and it's about tribes, and again, metaphorically, tribes are groups of people, and it's about the bad things that have happened to various tribes throughout the world, tribes of people and groups of people. And so again, Max is, giving a warning to, just make sure that things are going in the right direction for your tribe. And your tribe can be, just your group of friends that you hang out with, or your family is your tribe. So just making sure that your tribe is doing what it needs to do, and making sure that, your tribe is correct, and that also that the forces around your tribe that maybe are trying to keep you down or trying to interfere with something, making sure that you keep those things in check as well. So that song was called Nomad. Again, the chorus, Nomad. It just, you can't help but just, I mean, every song in this album, you can't help but just sing along. It's easy to sing along to. It's heavy, and man, it just makes you want to go off. By the way, the song Refuse Resist, my friend always tells a story when he heard that song, that the end where he's like, refuse resist, and he was, I'm not sure where he was, but he was going off, and he ended up kicking his friend in the face by accident. So that this band will bring out the energy in you. So if no matter how you're feeling, prepare to react, because especially this album, like it just, man, you feel it. It's a spiritual experience, I'll say. So the next song, speaking of which, We Are Not As Others. This song has kind of, the beginning of it anyway, has almost like a progressive feel to it, kind of like a prog rock kind of feel. It's got a little bit of a different tone in the beginning, and then it does get a little heavier. And towards the end, there's the atmospheric voices that you hear kind of floating around. So this is a song that kind of reminds me of the part in Young Guns where they do peyote, and you just hear like a voice over here or a voice over there, and things are just kind of a little weird and kind of a little funky, still cool, but just a little different, and you're not really sure why. But that's what this song reminds me of. And like I said, music gives me visuals. So that was the visual that I got from Young Guns. I think it's Young Guns 1 where they do peyote and not Young Guns. It might be Young Guns 2, whichever one where they're on the mountain and they're doing peyote with Chavez. That's the one I'm thinking of. That's a good movie. And that's a good song. We Are Not As Others. The next song after that is called Manifest. And this song is about the prisoners in, if I mispronounce this, I'm sorry, Carandiru, which is the biggest penitentiary in South America. You can tell that Max has a sense of injustice in the world, and that his mission, his goal, is to kind of right the injustices that are taking place, or at least shine a light on it. Wherever injustice is taking place in the dark, that's where it wants to be. So if you have someone out there pointing out the things that are going wrong, then at least you're doing your part to shine a light on roaches in the dark. But this was an atrocity that took place. It was in the 90s, I think, and there was a lot of prisoners that were killed. And the media tried to cover it up, and the media tried to say that only 8 people were killed. And I don't know the whole story to this song, but it's Max being socially conscious and being aware of things that are going on around him, and not just thinking about it, but singing about it and bringing it to the attention of other people. So that song is called Manifest. The next song is called The Hunt, and this is a cover by New Model Army, and I love this cover. And when I first got this album, I didn't realize that it was a cover, but I thought it had a little bit of a different feel, but it also kind of fits right in perfectly the way they did it with the rest of the album. So I didn't realize it was a cover until a little later. But again, it goes back to, you can tell Max has a sense of injustice in the world, and just the lyrics in this song. Why was this song picked? I would say because of the subject matter of the song, and it feels like this song is about people in power taking advantage of people who don't have power, or people that are not as strong as them, and the people fighting back. And I'm sure that that's why Max picked this song. Again, I don't want to speak for Max Cavalera, and I don't claim to. These are all my opinions and my takes on these songs, and songs that I have known about and listened to for decades. So these are just the things that I think. So I would say that The Hunt, it was probably picked by Max because it's another song about injustice. Also because it's an awesome song, and the rendition and the way they made it, like, super heavy, and that guitar tone in the beginning, and then the drums come in, and it's a heavy song. It's definitely, Sepultura made it their own, and it definitely fits really, really well on this album. And it's another song that you can sing along to, and you can really get into. A great song, The Hunt, great cover. The last song on the album off of Kaios AD is called Clench Fists. And it starts out with kind of like a horror chord that they would go on to be called later. I would say that this is one of the first, I don't know, maybe not the first, but definitely it wasn't used as much as it is now. Kind of like a high pitched kind of something that you might hear in a horror movie, hence the term horror chords. This song it starts out Max saying, "Pain makes me stronger every day. Life is chaos. You got to deal with it." I think that a lot of times when Max is singing, he's singing to us, but he's also singing to himself. And this song is about that life's not easy, and you're going to go through things. And Max has been through a lot, and him sharing his experience can let other people know that, no matter what you're going through, everybody's going through something. And the song is called Clench Fist because it's about fighting back and finding the strength to fight back, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what scenario you're in, no matter if you're with a group or you're by yourself. This is another great heavy song on the album. It's a great way to end the album. All the songs on this album are heavy. They're hard. They're mid-paced. and funky with some just amazing. This album has some of my favorite drum parts on it. I would say my top albums as far as drum parts from this time period, around this time period, going back, would be this one, South of Heaven, Rust in Peace. So there's definitely but this album was not like any of those other albums that I mentioned, and they're all unique, and the drumming in all of them is unique. And Igor just really brought a different flair from a different place and really honed in on it on this album. I feel like Sepultura really kind of hit their stride with this album, even though the album slowed down and the other albums were faster and more technical. I feel like if you look at the progression of the band after this and what they went on to become, and what Max went on to become, and Soulfly with Max went on to become, this is where they were finding more of their style that would be their style for time to come. Even the drop tuning with Roots, like I said, Roots was a lot funkier, a lot heavier, even maybe a little bit slower than Kaios AD even was. And for me, I love time changes, breakdowns, whatever you want to call them. I love that, and I love that groove. So mid pace is kind of my wheelhouse, because I really like, that's where I feel the music the most. And for me, I've always been interactive with music, and a big thing for me was going to shows and getting in the pit. And I feel the mid-pace stuff. You can kind of demonstrate your style a little bit. You can run around and slam into everybody with the faster parts, and the slower parts you can kind of dance a little bit more. And like I said, kind of demonstrate your style. So that's one thing that Sepultura brought to this genre, was the groove, and that it's okay to do things a little differently. It's okay to slow it down. It's okay to be heavy and funky and have a jam song, and it's okay to drop tune and mess with the tuning, and so they really were. This album was a game changer, I think. And if you look at that time period, I think a lot of music actually slowed down a little bit around that time period, and was more honed in on the groove, and more seemingly concerned with having a good groove that you could nod your head to, and you could bounce around in the pit to, and you could dance to, and you can get off to, than being just super technical and super fast. And Sepultura, without a doubt, is some of the best musicians in the world. So being super technical and super fast is something that they have no problem doing, and they demonstrated that in their earlier albums. But I remember James Hetfield had a quote where he said, when Metallica first started, he always wanted to be the fastest. He always wanted to be the fastest. And then he said, well, there's always going to be someone that's faster than you. And then there's only so fast that you can be. So then he started focusing more on writing songs from a structure perspective, and from a feel perspective, I think, rather than just being fast. And don't get me wrong, I love fast, and I love fast parts, and I love bands that are fast. And DRI is one of my favorite bands of all time, and I can name a million other fast bands that I love. But the groove, the feel, the heaviness is my favorite thing about this music. And so that's my take on Sepultura's Kaios AD. Again, that album came out in 1993, and an amazing album, a game changer. I've gotten to talk to Max a couple of times. I've been blessed with that. That's something that I'll hold dearly forever. Just when I was younger, listening to his albums and his music, it's not something I ever thought I'd get to do. Getting to talk to him and Joey Belladonna and some of the guys from the Misfits and Exodus, and it's been a blast. It's been amazing. So that's it. Again, that's my take on Sepultura's Kaios AD. Max went on to do many great things after this, and start a whole nother band that has a whole lot of killer albums and great stories and great shows. But I wanted to go back and talk about this album because it was one of my favorites. And so that's it for me. Again, I'm Irish J Irons for the Solid Steel Syndicate. Again, I'm going to give you some info on how you can join the syndicate, and we're going to have some merch available soon. So I'll definitely let you know about that. And I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.